Hello, good afternoon. And the dragon was wroth with the remnant of the woman. They kept the commandments of God and have the testimonies of Jesus. Pastor, is this the remnant of the Adventist Church? Bishop, this is the remnant. No, thank you so much that you have come to attend this meeting. We are living in serious times. We don't know when the sifting is taking place, but one way of fortifying ourselves is to really come together and worship God together. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. Since it is the pastors are, I think it is going to be the pastor who's supposed to speak here. But anyway, we will see what we can do to share the Word of God. All of us, I think, have some good ideas that we can later on share. Everyone will have. I'd just like to relate to you some of the experiences that I had in Africa. I thank the Lord for the opportunity that He gave me to be able to go to Africa. I was actually in Africa since 1982. So you can just imagine how old I am. And I just thank the Lord for that opportunity. And as my uncle had mentioned, he invited me. And I just thank God that God had used my uncle to be able to invite me to be able to start the work there in Africa as a missionary. So since 1982 until now, we have served the Lord. It was only for 4 years that I came back to the Philippines to take my specialty training in internal medicine. But most of the time that my being a doctor, I've always practiced in Africa. I've served in, first of all in Kenya, then what do you know those countries, Tanzania, then Zambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and now we are stationed in South Africa. Praise the Lord for those experiences. One of the very challenging experiences in the church for South Africa is actually called Spiritism. We don't have such a challenge here. I think the challenge that the church faces here in countries like the Philippines and other parts of the world that are quite developed is materialism and consumerism. These are just the same things, whether it's going to be spiritualism or spiritism or consumerism or materialism. All these isms are actually not palatable in the sight of God. But one of the things that I have really learned is that the Africans are so scared because you see, ever since in their childhood, they have always been programmed to what we call be conscious about the spirits that live around them. Now, it could be witches or it could be what we call ancestral spirits. And especially the hospital that we were assigned in Zimbabwe, not in Zimbabwe, but in Zambia, it was quite a very far hospital. You travel about 600 kilometers by road. I don't know what is the distance here in Mindanao. Maybe from here to Zamboanga. I don't know. What is the distance between here and Zamboanga? 600 kilometers by road. And there are only 2 gasoline stations along the way. So you can just imagine 600 kilometers and only 2 gasoline stations along the way. And you have to pass through a game reserve. When we say game reserves, it is filled with wild animals. It's about 150 kilometers stretch, and you can meet lions, elephants, the giraffes. You see, of course, the lions are the ones that are ferocious because they can attack you. And several times while we were passing through, we have seen lions cross and just walk along the road. It's good to create a vehicles, that's a big problem. But one problem, aside from the lions, were actually the tsetse flies. If you know about tsetse flies, they are just like the size of a housefly, but they fly so fast and they swoop so fast. And they carry what we call a organism, a protozoa called Trypanosomas gabiense or sapiense. sleeping sickness. That means if you're going to be bitten and the fly has the parasite, it can inject into your bloodstreams, and you just slowly feel weak, and later on you keep on sleeping, and you sleep and you finally die. So if you have actual problems with insomnia, you will be bitten by sensitive fly and you can sleep. But really, this is it. Some people have actually done. But there are medications, you see. So that's the situation of the game reserve. But it's not only that one. You have to cross the river. It's the Zambezi River, which you go upstream, about 65 kilometers upstream. And depending on the boat that you have, you're going to ride, we call it a banana boat, because it is shaped like a banana boat. But the boats there do not have what we call outriggers to balance. Instead, it is a flat boat, and you have the engine outside. And depending on the load that you have, if the load is heavy, it will take about 8 hours just going up the river, you see. But if you're taking a speedboat, maybe it will take you about 2 and 3 hours time, which is not bad. But just imagine that. And of course, in the river, it is such a big river, and you have crocodiles there. Not only that, but you have also hippopotamus, you see, and then these hippos, although they are vegetarians, they sometimes can be very aggressive. If you eat them, then they can topple your boat. And some people have actually been bitten by these hippos, and some were eaten by crocodiles. But the Lord has spared our lives. But once you get into that hospital, and Sister Mopia was there for about 2 weeks, she came and she helped us in Yucca Hospital. And it is not only the end there. The hospital is actually a general hospital. We do cesarean sections, we do surgeries, we do basically general medicine. But it is also a leprosarium. I don't know whether you have seen people with leprosy, but if the leprosy is going to be caught already at an advanced stage, you are going to have some parts of your body missing. Like for instance, your earlobes can actually be already cut because it gets infected, and this is going to be severe. You can just see a hole. And also your nose, when it is going to affect your nose because it has a very poor circulation, then the tip of your nose will fall off, and you can just see the holes of the nose coming out. That's how it is. And when they step into something like broken glass because they cannot feel anything, then they cut themselves and they get liable to an infection. If not, they walk through the fire because they cannot feel anything, then their flesh gets burned, and the next thing they know that they have a sore. So those were the challenges that we faced, but one of the programs of the hospital was to eradicate leprosy. So we started the program way back in 1984 when we got into the hospital. And we sent people who went into the villages to be able to screen people having leprosy. Because it was so difficult for some of these patients to come to the hospital because they didn't have any transport. So what we did was that we had a van. Are you feeling no savior? That's not the story. So what we did was that we would bring the patients into the hospital, and then for those who were still well enough that they could get the medications, then we gave them in the villages. So we have a van just going around. We had about 1,700 people whom we enrolled into the program. So you can just imagine how many lepers were there in that area that we had. But some of them already, because they had so very bad leprosy, that we had to take them to the hospital and we had to care for them. Some of them had already hands like this, okay? You cannot even see the fingers anymore. Some of them, their feet are just like stumps without any toes at all. And of course, you know, with your great desire for these people to know about Jesus, you preach the gospel, isn't it? God is not going to select who is going to go to heaven. And you know, when they go to heaven, they're going to be regular. So we tell them about the good news of Jesus Christ. And of course, many of them are so excited. Imagine being told that when you go to heaven, you're going to be well, you're going to have a mansion, and praise God for that, you see. And people become Adventists. Now, the problem is that they come to church. They come to church, and at first, we thought that, okay, we're going to make a church for the lepers, and we had a church for the lepers. But then later on, we thought about it. We said, that's not actually right, that you are going to segregate these lepers. Anyway, they're no longer contagious, they have already been healed, except for their sores. Then why don't you invite them actually to our church? And that's what we did. They would come and fellowship with us in our church, in the main church. But as you know, because of their sores, they come to the church, and in the place, because it is not so good sanitation, especially when the mango season comes, there are so many flies. So you see, when you are going to walk towards the hospital, which was only about 200 meters away from our house, your back is going to be full of flies because the flies are going to hitchhike your back. Okay? And so when we go inside our house, we have to scrape our backs. You know, like this. I'll show you how we do it. Okay? This is how we go inside. We actually, that's how we do it, whereas the flies are going to come into your house. So many of them. And some of these kids, because I think they're already used to the flies, you can just see that their eyes are just full of flies. And their mouth are full of flies. That's so you come. That's the mission. And you know, can you not just drive the flies from your eyes? I think they already lose their sensation that they don't mind anymore. And we also have trachoma because of the flies. They also bring what we call bacteria called trachomatis. Okay? Chlamydia trachomatis, which goes into your eyes and it infects your eyes, and you can in fact become blind. And many of the people there have lost their vision because of trachoma. Okay? Anyway, so we have the lepers come to church, and when they come to church with their bandages, they sit next to you. It's part of heaven, isn't it? The problem is that now they have sores, and then the flies are going to alight on their sores. They alight. And then later on, it is going to also fly and go to you. But that's not so bad, you see. The flies, it's not your fly swatter, okay? But when you sing, to God. Yes, it happens all the time. The fly coming from a sore goes into your mouth and you hit the fly. Anyway, you can say I'm still alive, okay? So, the Lord has spared your lives. But I tell you, in the hospital, the Lord has tremendously done this. First of all, okay, I can see several times with malaria. In fact, I thought I was going to die. I had malaria, I think I had malaria more than 20 times. Part of it is because in the evening, I have to do surgeries, like people come up when they are pregnant and they have complications for labor. So you have to attend to them, and they call me. The problem is that the hospital does not have any screen. The hospital does not actually have any air conditioner. And so I would actually do surgeries, and of course there is also AIDS there. AIDS is number one there. 1 out of 4 people there are actually HIV. And while doing surgery, especially when doing cesarean sections, the suction machine is not working. The suction machine is not working because, you know, when you have cesarean, you have a lot of blood, and you have to have a suction and then try to remove the blood coming from the mother. But then you also have to think, I have to do it fast. The suction is not working, so what I have to do is to get the sponge. Okay. And many times after I did surgery, now I was actually wet here with blood. What immediately comes into my mind, now I have HIV, you see. Not only that, but sometimes doing surgery because I could not, if you even put a what we call glasses here for protection, but because it's so hot, it becomes foggy and you cannot see the patient.
So you really just have to remove it, or else you cannot see the feet that you're walking in. And once you're doing surgery, because you're doing fast and some of the blood goes into your eyes. I have had blood several times. Not only that, but I also got pricked with people having HIV. So I don't have HIV. But praise the Lord, you know what I say, I'm telling you all these miracles that God has performed really in the hospital. So I've tested myself 6 times, I'm negative. Well, it's telling you because I got pricked with people having HIV. You see. So I have to constantly check out if I have also the problem. You see. But the Lord is good, the Lord is merciful. See? But this malaria, sometimes when you get really sick, sometimes you can get comatose. There are some people there who get sick in the morning, and in the evening they get so sick, and the following day they die. We had a very good worker at the hospital. Her name was Kipatra. She was pregnant, and she came at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. By 3 o'clock in the morning, she died, see, because the malaria can go to your brain, the falciparum malaria. We have children, actually, you see them in Sabbath school. In the evening, they get sick, and then they die. So children die, they're like flies. As I said, the Lord has rescued us. Especially for our kids, because when we went there, our children were still very small. Rainier was only about 1.5 years old, and Anna was about 2.5 years old. And especially when kids get sick, it becomes very, very difficult. And especially the girl, she doesn't want to drink medications. Sometimes I just have to try to her, so you take the medications, because if not, you're going to die. The boy was okay, because the boy, even though chloroquine was so bitter, he was willing to actually chew it and to bite it and swallow it. It was a good thing with Arnold. But anyway, due to the Lord's help, as I said, when we started the leprosy program, there were more than 1,700 cases of leprosy. By the time that we finished the program way back in 1987, that 1,700 was reduced to about 70 only. So we have saved several lives from that one. Not only that, but I have some stories which, like for instance, getting electricity, we didn't have electricity 24 hours, but the Lord provided electricity. That's another story, that's another miracle. But as I told you, I want to tell you about the problem of spiritism you see in Africa. They have a superstition there that, and they said it's true, that they have a gun made out of the femur of a human being. And what they do is that they go to the witch doctors that if you actually have an enemy and you want that enemy to be sick or to be destroyed, what you do is you just point that gun, and the person, when you're pointing that gun, if you want to do some harm, is going to hear a bang, and he can either fall down or he can get sick. You see? Now, if that individual maybe is in Manila, all you have to do is point the gun to the sun, and after that you say, I want this person dead. And people, when you mention about that, you can really see that to them it's really real. They shiver and they are full of fear. And why not? If you have been brought up in a type of a situation when you are still a small child, and you are programmed, even though when you accept Jesus Christ, you think all of a sudden it is just going to erase from your mind. Cannot be. See? Just like if you're used to eating rice, you go to America and you're still going to eat rice. Why? It's because you've been programmed to eat rice. And when you're going to eat bread, you say, I'm not full, I want to eat rice. Those are the same things, you see, programming. And if you have been programmed in what we call witchcraft, this is what we're going to think all the time. Anyway, we have a coxswain. The coxswain is the one who drives our boat. And this guy was really very good because even though in a moonless night, he is able to drive that speedboat of ours at 30 kilometers per hour, and yet he cannot see, you cannot actually see ahead. But this man, because he is too used already in the dark, is able to maneuver the boat through all of those curves. See? And they said that he was a witch. Okay? He was a witch. He was working for the hospital. He was working in the maintenance. One day, we lost what we call a 35 horsepower engine. A 35 horsepower engine is actually quite cheap. Okay? And all of a sudden, it just disappeared from the maintenance. We asked the police to make an investigation. They couldn't find where the motor is. And then they said, well, we know who actually stole it. It was Martin. His name is Martin. He just made magic because he is a witch. And you just lost your engine all of a sudden. Okay, because we couldn't build a case against Martin, there was no proof. So there was no way that we can bring him to the police. But one day we caught him stealing some of the instruments, some of the tools of the maintenance. So we said, okay, now that we've caught you, okay, we are going to press charges against you. And we brought him to the committee. And so the committee said, okay, we are going to dismiss you because according to the policy, if you're stealing, then you should actually be dismissed. So we dismissed Martin. But then when Martin actually received his letter of what we call termination, he immediately writes all the committee members and says, if you are going to dismiss me, watch out because all of you are going to be dead. And now, because as I said, witchcraft. And the members of the committee are deacons, elders of the church. Some of them are actually good Seventh-day Adventists because we don't hire people who are not Adventists. And they came to me and said, Doc, we need to meet. I said, why? Because we received this letter from Martin Kashanga saying that if he's not going to be reinstated, we are all going to die. You can see the influence of evil, and especially people who have already been born in the church. They are now occupying positions in the church as elders and deacons. And yet when confronted with an issue, whether to trust God or not, whom did they decide to trust? They said, oh, we better trust our tradition. So we had a meeting. I said, now what's the thing about it? This Martin actually threatened that if we are not going to reinstate him, he's going to have us all either get sick or we are going to actually die. I said, now who is stronger, Satan or God? I said, well, of course, God is stronger, but you never know. But anyway, long story short, I said, no, we have to really dismiss Martin. If you're not going to vote for him to be dismissed, you are actually doubting God's power. I'm just going to dismiss him. Reluctantly, they said, okay, we're going to have him dismissed. When they got dismissed, okay, let's see now what is going to happen to us. Well, 1 month, 2 months passed and everything was okay. But what I would like to emphasize here is that, you just don't realize sometimes the power of the devil that is holding people in the conscience. And especially in Africa, because they have been brought up in a type of a culture, in a type of what we call upbringing. So when a situation comes, then they revert into what we call what they know when they were still children. And that can also happen to us, you see. We can easily revert to practices that are not biblical when we are confronted with stressful situations. But another incident that I had was in Tanzania. I was working in Tanzania. And there was this Hindi girl. This Hindi girl was only about 17 years old. And she came with right iliac pain. And when you have right iliac pain, then you think, what's possible? It is actually appendicitis. When we checked her WBC was slightly increased, though it was the borderline, but it actually had some indication that she might have what we call appendicitis. And of course, being in a mission hospital that did not have many of the facilities, then we were forced to actually give an operation. That's what we did. We operated on the girl. But when we operated on her, the appendix was normal, which can happen even here. But here is what was so amazing. Right after when she was already in the stage of recovery, I told you she was a Hindi girl, and this Hindi girl even did not know a single word in English. That means when we were going to get the history, you have to talk to her parents who interpreted to her what English is. And then we had to talk to an interpreter. But after she was operated and she was starting to recover, now she began to speak in English. Yeah. But not only that, She didn't know my name, or she didn't know several other people. And at the time, we had the board of the hospital meeting. We had the president of the union, the treasurer, and the secretary who are members of the board. And they came because they were going to have a board. And when the pastors, whom she never met before, when the pastors came into the room to pray for her, then she would say, "Good morning, Pastor Dosingo." You didn't meet her before. She would say, "Oh, good morning, Dr. Llaguno, how are you?" Now it was clear that she was possessed. She was possessed. But here is what is so amazing. There were some people who came actually into the room, and she would say, "I know who you are." "Pastor Okeyo, good morning. How are you, Pastor Okeyo? I know who you are." Now I said, I'm going to get away from this, or else she might start to enumerate all my sins. Fuck something. Why don't you pray for her? I said, "No, let me not pray for her." But many of the people actually, when they came into the room, she would say that, "I know who you are." Now, if the devil is going to come and he's going to say, "I know who you are," I wonder what sins he is going to enumerate for each one of us. And don't you know that in the end of time, this is going to be more in frequency? Right now, God is just holding the devil, because right now, the devil himself can materialize here. But God is just holding the devil. But there will be a time when God is going to tell Satan, "Okay, Satan, I have held you for some time, but now I want the whole universe to see who you are." And one of the things that Satan is going to do is going to materialize, he's going to possess many people, and he's going to say, "I know who you are." And starts to enumerate your sin. You know, that really taught me a big lesson. I said, this is really something that we need to straighten up, because if this is going to happen, and I have all the sins which were unconfessed, just imagine Satan actually enumerating all of those things. Now, even the president of the union was there, the secretary of the union was there, the treasurer of the union was there. They prayed, and yet nothing happened. And this is it. How effective is our prayer? Or we don't have any connections to God, that no matter how we pray, our prayers are just like empty talk. Because that is one test how effective your prayer is. If you are really going to be confronted with Satan. Nobody, as I said, nobody was able to drive out the demon. Finally, the parents brought her home, and I don't know what they did at home, but 2 weeks later she came back because for follow-up, and she couldn't speak English anymore. She was back to herself. But the lesson really taught me something very good. It's the reason why I think Jacob's type of trouble is that the devil is going to contend with us. And one of the things that he's going to contend with us, Jeremiah is very clear, is going to time of trouble such as never was. And the time of Jacob's trouble, I don't know what text is that, but it's there. And one of those things that the devil is going to really is to tell us all of our sins. But if we have confessed them to God, then yes, I know, and God has already covered it with my righteousness. We are living in very perilous times, and unless we are going to be fortified with the Word of God, unless we are going to actually confess the sins that we know, we are going to be destroyed by the devil. And the time is not far. As we see the things that are happening in this world. Okay, I still have 20 minutes because he's given me one. Okay, let's study about Babylon. Revelation. I hope I can impart you some things together. Revelation 14. And they followed the other angels, saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. That's Revelation 14:8. Okay. Why is it that Babylon is going to fall down? Do you like to build your foundation in a place where it is going to fall down? Actually, when Christ or when God had actually mentioned this, He is telling us, because if you are going to build your life in a foundation that is going to fall, you are going to fall. God, in fact, is giving a warning to each one of us. This is a warning of love from the church and from each individual. Babylon is fallen. It says, do not build your foundation in Babylon, because Babylon is fallen. Okay, now what is the reason that Babylon is fallen? What is the reason why it is going to fall down? Right now, Babylon actually looks so sturdy and so strong, but then in the end, it is going to definitely fall down. Because she has made the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her. That is the reason why. What do we mean when it says the wine? Hey, the students of the Bible. What do you mean when the Bible says wine? Only Tim knows about it. What do we mean when we say wine? It is actually the doctrine. The pure wine is actually true doctrine. The wine is false doctrine. You see? That's why if we are going to build our lives, our characters, our homes on something that is actually not according to the Word of God, it is definitely going to fall. Whether it's going to be relationships, whether it's going to be finances, whether it's going to be our work. If we are going to build it in Babylon, it definitely is going to fall. An example, okay. In Korea, there was this 3 or 4 story building. It's a good building, which was a shopping center. But you see, the engineers did not follow the specifications. And this is it. Our lives have specifications. God gave us what we call rules and regulations so that we are not going to fall down. What did the engineers do? They actually shortcut. Instead of maybe having a foundation of 2 feet, they said, okay, we want to economize, let us just make it into 1 feet, 1.5 feet. And later on, people were enjoying the mall, and all of a sudden the mall just crumbled down. Why? It's because they did not follow specifications. And similarly, that's the reason why Babylon is going to fall, because it does not follow the specifications of God. Anything that does not follow the specifications of God is actually Babylon. Okay? Made the nations drink of the wine of the wrath. And you know, Satan is so angry, that's God. Okay? Of her fornication. What do you mean by fornication? Anything that is an illicit affair or an illicit relationship is really fornication. Isn't it? Fornication is a relationship. And we know all these relationships that are happening. But let us identify Babylon first, because you know, it is very easy for a certain day Adventist to say, papacy, that is Babylon, isn't it? Huh? What is really Babylon? Is it just a papacy? Anything that is really false, isn't it? Yeah? It's because it says, who made the nations drink of the wine, that means it is false religion. Anything that is false religion. And let us try to identify Babylon closely so that we are not just going to pinpoint who Babylon is. Okay? Let's start when Babylon was actually erected. That is found in Genesis. Okay? After the flood, God told them to disperse and replenish the earth. But did the people obey? No. What they did, they said, okay, let us actually build a tower that reaches the sky so that if God is going to send flood, then we can actually go up to it. That was the reasoning. But here is the exact words, okay? Genesis 11 verse 4. And they said, go to, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach the heavens. What did God say? He said that I'm not going to send any more flood to destroy the earth.
But now they said we're going to build a tower to the heavens. And number 2, it says, and let us make us a name. Okay? And let's be scattered abroad. Okay? Now let's see. Okay, number 1, let us build a nation and let us make a name for ourselves. Okay? Now, where does the word, if you remember, where can you find in the Bible the expression let us?
Genesis 1:27.
Genesis, when God actually said, let us make man in our own image. And now you actually have a human system that actually would like to follow God when it says, number 1, okay, let us build a city. Okay. Let's start with 5 with 3 because there are 3 let us here. Verse 3, and they said one to another, let us make brick. Number 1, let us. Number 2, verse 4, let us build a city and a tower. Number 2. Number 3, and let us make a name for ourselves. In contrast, you have actually says, let us make man in an image. So in a way, you see, the let us here that they are saying is that they are behaving like God. They are taking the prerogative of God. They are not believing in God. Now, my friends, it is true that any false religion is actually Babylon. And it is very easy to pinpoint the Pope and say that he is Babylon. But don't you know that you can be Babylon? How are we going to become Babylon as individuals? When we are going to substitute the word of God for ourselves, when we are going to disregard God's law or His word, then we become Babylon ourselves. So do not kid yourself by saying that Babylon is the papacy. Babylon is any false religion. Because Babylon can be any of us who disregards God's law. For instance, you're going to say, well, it's okay anyway, you know, these days it is okay to sleep around. Young people these days, it's not like before. Young people these days, you know, I can do whatever I want with my body, isn't it? Now, who are you following? Are you following God? In fact, you are doing what we call God's prerogative. Because you see, the very first command that God gave for human beings is, thou shalt have no other gods before me. This command is actually all-encompassing. Why? It's because if you are going to disregard God's word and follow your word, that means you are acting like God. You're acting like God when you act like God. In fact, you think about any other violation of the command, and it will show you that one of the things that you're violating is actually, thou shalt have no other gods. You know, you ask the question, what was the sin of it? Because you have to always remember when you're going to make a sin, it is not only one aspect, it has to be several aspects. What did sin, what did he violate in the commandments? Number 1 is clear. She disregarded God's word. She followed the serpent, and the serpent said, you are going to be like God. And when she actually violated God's command, she herself became God and acted like God. What else did Eve sin? Number 2, she stole the fruit, isn't it? You ever wonder what? Eve stole the fruit. Number 3, she actually coveted. God said do not. Don't you know that whenever you're going to sin, there are always 2 commandments you break. Number 1 is, commandment number 1, you shall not have any gods. The other thing is, you shall not covet. Do you have any other nation in the world that actually lets you guard against your thoughts? There is no country in the world, even if you go to America, think about this. Covetousness is really in the thought, you see. For one thing, no nation in the world can actually implement that law because no nation in the world can read your thoughts or my heart. Isn't it? Even if Duterte is going to say, do not think about committing adultery, he cannot implement it because Duterte cannot read our minds. So God actually put us on because He could read our minds. So I don't know what are you thinking right now, but be sure that God knows what you're thinking about. So whenever there's going to be, as you always remember, there's going to be two commandments that you basically break. Number one, thou shalt have no other gods before me, because when you are going to supersede God's word in your word, you are behaving like God. Number two, you actually covet God's position. So 1 and 10 are actually inclusive commandments, okay? I pray that as we are going to look into our lives, because I know one big problem that Seventh-day Adventists are facing is really working on Saturdays. That's a really big temptation, and I thank you for standing for what is right on the seventh day, because that is to honor God. But sometimes you can say, well, God, just understand me, I cannot feed my children. Who are you following, God or yourself? Or sometimes you are going to say, God, please forgive me because to this month I cannot return my tithe. Why? I need the money to be able to pay the school fees of my kids. See? So now you are taking the place of God. But the good thing is that God can give us the power, isn't it? To be able to overcome all these tendencies. But let us remember that it's very easy for us to accuse other religions in this world because we are keeping the 7 days. Oh no, we are accepted from that. We are not Babylon. But I tell you, we can become Babylon when we are going to violate the commandments of God. We are going to take the place of God and we are going to disobey His commandments. God bless you all.